like to tell you about my company, Alaska Energy Metals, which really just started 1 year ago, and we've made absolutely tremendous progress. Not quite the largest nickel deposit in the world, Brian, but it's getting up there in terms of contained nickel metal for the United States. So it's quite substantial already. And even though my company's just 1 year old, right in this month, I actually have a very long history with the project. My first career as a young geologist was with Inco Limited, the Sudbury-based international nickel company that was at the time the largest nickel mining company in the world. And they moved me around quite a bit looking for nickel, but in 1995 sent me to this exact spot that you can see in the picture because they perceived from a very high conceptual level that it was a place that looked geologically somewhat like the Norilsk area of Russia, which is probably the largest accumulation of nickel metal mines and prospects on Earth. And so we did 5 great years of work in the late 90s here, and we did discover nickel. But it wasn't high-grade nickel. There was a lot of nickel, but it was mostly disseminated nickel sulfides that we found in the rock. So eventually, Inco moved on. I stayed, though, and I've been exploring as a geologist all over Alaska for quite a variety of metals ever since. But then a few years ago, I saw a company called Canada Nickel with this great big disseminated nickel sulfide deposit. And it was being well recognized in the market. The share price was taking off, and I remembered my Nikolai project, and I was able to secure the mineral rights all over again for our company, and have formed Alaska Energy Metals around it. And we raised money last year. We spent it drilling holes, and we had some fantastic results come out of it. Just a bit of a backdrop for nickel. A lot of people don't necessarily know what nickel's used for, but its main use by far has been and continues to be the manufacture of stainless steel. It's an amazing metal, though. It has all kinds of applications, but now all of a sudden there's a new use for it, and it's in lithium-ion batteries. And whether it's your phone or your laptop, or now your electric car, there's a lot of nickel in those batteries. They call them lithium-ion, but in fact there's more than 5 times the amount of nickel in a car battery than there is lithium. So it's a metal that's coming into terrific demand. The demand for nickel right now really has never been higher. And so, there's 29 kilos of nickel in every average electric vehicle passenger car. But I'm sure over the coming decades, we will transition to cars and buses and trucks and farm equipment. And that's not to mention, I think, long-term grid-scale storage batteries that we'll use to store renewably generated power. So the demand scenario for nickel is just fantastic. So you would think that in that environment, the price of nickel would be higher. It's just come up off the bottom recently. The main reason is Indonesia has been able to ramp up its production remarkably to meet all the supply. But nevertheless, nickel and lithium are extremely important metals for an energy expansion, an electric energy expansion. All the metals in the red dots are ones important for energy, but for which the country is very much at risk on supply. Supplies of these metals could be cut off very, very easily by any sort of supply chain disruption. And so if the United States wants a nice smooth transition to a more electrified society, it really needs to secure metal supply lines from free trade countries, and preferably, in my view, from domestic sources right in the United States. And the thing about that laterite nickel is it's really pretty tough on the environment. It's not friendly to the earth, and it's not friendly to the air, because to smelt the nickel from the laterite ore, they're burning a lot of coal, and it really negates the whole idea of us happily driving around in electric vehicles, saving the atmosphere. Right, just shows how dominant Indonesia, with help from China, has become in the nickel business. And that puts us at risk in the United States because if we're going to rely on electric energy, that takes a lot of metals. Nickel is a very important one of those energy metals, and we won't be self-sufficient and therefore at risk. America has one nickel mine, and the product is exported. So the country is completely reliant on imports. And so having a very large source of nickel on U.S. soil, I think, is very positive. So a good team, we know what we're doing. We can execute excellent exploration programs in our state. We've got depth on our board when it comes to taking this project to a more advanced level. Corey Fai's a former Commissioner of Natural Resources at the state government level, certainly knows the mine permitting process. Mark Begich, who I met 20 years ago in my home of Anchorage, went on to become one of our 2 senators in representing us in Washington, D.C. So I think we can take this project a long ways down the development path through into mine permitting. So basics, shares are trading at around 40 cents right now for a $35 to $40 million market cap with 89 million shares outstanding. We've got about 2 million in our treasury right now, which means we'll need to do another raise soon to do the aggressive exploration program that is warranted this summer. Project's in a great spot. It's probably a 6-hour drive from my house in Anchorage on paved highways. There's rail and power not too far away. So for a development scenario, even though we're way up in Alaska, it's quite good. Highway access very close to the project. Our claim blocks shown in yellow. 2 blocks, the Canwell block, where we have some really high-grade prospects at surface that we're ready to drill. But the Eureka zone, where I first discovered this disseminated sulfide deposit back in the 1990s, but now I can truly say that it's a deposit, because with the drilling we've done last year, we were able to publish our first resource. That was calculated by independent contractor Stantec, a well-known firm. So now here's our deposit. I can call it the Eureka deposit. And the pale gray outline is the conceptual pit. That pit is over 4 kilometers in length. This is a big, thick deposit. And the colors represent the concentration of metals in the ground. And so the red and pink and orange and yellow are the best spots where the metal concentration is highest. That's not to say that this is high grade. In fact, it's what we would call a bulk tonnage, lower grade mineralization. But it's very continuous, it's very homogeneous, and big mining companies should really like it. Altogether, as a geologist, I'm not really supposed to add indicated resources to inferred, but it comes out to more than 8 billion pounds of nickel in the ground. And if you add in the copper and the cobalt and platinum and palladium, in fact, it's over 10 billion pounds that we've established already with just one drill program and some of the older holes. And you can see that it dips perfectly at 45 degrees. It's thick, 300 meters thick, and it goes for kilometers. And the red colors is the higher grade. It comes right to surface. And so in the early days, we'll be mining the higher grade material without having to remove any waste rock. And that should help a lot with the early stage economics. So my strategy going forward is very simple. There's the deposit outlined in the blue colors. The blue-gray, light gray is what we've got at the inferred category. The blue shading represents the higher confidence level indicated resource. And the red ellipses surround the higher grade portion of the deposit. So the plan is to extend the deposit to the southeast, particularly focusing on that higher grade mineralization that will be so important in the early years. And when we're done, we're going to have a deposit that puts us up with our peers. And the best analogy is Canada nickel. And by the end of this year, I'm quite confident that we're going to have established a deposit that is as large as the Crawford deposit of Canada nickel. It'll be at a slightly higher grade. We'll have a high-grade core and a very low strip ratio. And I think at that point, we'll catch up to Canada nickel. I think we'll catch up in size and grade and hopefully in market cap. We're at 34, they're at 241 million. So there's a lot of room for us to catch up there. And I think we'll attract strategic investors like Canada Nickel's done a great job attracting Samsung, who wanted the offtake, Agnico, and Anglo American. So that's it. There's also great opportunity to find the high-grade mineralization, and we've done the work last year to be ready to drill some great targets, and we'll hit those this summer as well. Big, thick, massive sulfide intersection would be game-changing. All right, Brian, thank you.